Hey, what is up, y'all? What is up? What's up? What's up? Up. Hello. I am Little T Bicky, Little T Bicky, TT. That's me, y'all. I am coming to you with my brand new show, Perspective. Perspective is a talk show where you can tell your story, your individual story from the perspective, from the point of view of grace through God, through Christ. Let me give you a good example. I look back on my life before I look back, while I was going through my life, I was like, woe is me. Why am I going through this? Why this is happening to me? Why? When you're going through the storm, it's hard for you to see anything good, in it. But after, when you get further ahead and you look back, you see it was good for me to do that or go through that or experience that, to witness that. It was good for me. And then to realize that there were certain things in your life where you saw God. You saw that there was something bigger than you. Some things you shouldn't have made it through. Some things right now you should be cuckoo a little bit. Some things were just, there had to be a God. There had to have been something greater. Perspective. So starting it off, it's going to be myself. I had a Facebook show and I was basically telling my story as of what was going on then. I experienced, I went through staying in my car, I went through learning that I had this disorder called lupus. I've learned that friends that I thought were friends, and not saying that it wasn't friends, it was time, it was time for us to grow and for us to be in a different place in our lives. And I no longer have those friends. I experienced a tremendous amount of things in a short period of time. That is what caused me to, hey, I got to tell somebody, I got to say this, I got to share this. And then me being older, I'm 43 now, I'm learning that sometimes it's good for you to talk about things, to talk about your life, to talk about what you're experiencing, your feelings, your thoughts, your concerns, to say those things out loud. Those things help you. They're very therapeutic. I think that a lot of therapists, what makes them so good is that there's somebody to listen. There's somebody to hear somebody out. Usually when you have a conversation with somebody, they're trying to get their bit in. So they talking over you and they're not giving you opportunity to say what all you need to say. And there's things that you should have said and you couldn't say, and you're trying to rush to say whatever you're trying to say because they're going to come in and chime in and cut you off. And what you might have to say might be a blessing to somebody else. Perspective. So let's get into it. Perspective for me, and I'm just going to start it. God's point of view of my life is, and I'm just going to start it. I have my notes here. I always knew that there was something different about me. I always knew that. I always knew that I was strange. I always knew that I was a peculiar type of person. Being young, or better yet, before me even coming into this world, it was said that my mom wasn't supposed to have children. She didn't need to have children. My mom is a sickly person. She's been sick all her life, and she's even sick now. And God bless her, to overcome. And she calls it a bump, to overcome her bump. She has cancer. To overcome it, but she's been sick all her life. So doctors told her that she shouldn't have kids. She's not going to have kids. That's just not the best for her and her body. But that I March the 10th, 1980. Here come I. I am the first out of two girls. Me and my sister. My sister came later, but me came out, was the first one, and oh my God, I do not. I'm not even gonna pretend that I remember being a child. I do not. I I try my best in knowing that this show is coming up to think about, childhood and things like that. There's one story that I remember being young, and this is something that my sister, my mom always bring up. My sister, so I was like a tomboy, okay? Like a tomboy. I was a tomboy. I was the one that playing in the dirt. I was the one that climbed the trees. I was the one that loved Tonka trucks. I was the one that I didn't want no Barbies. I didn't want no Ruffles. I didn't want no girly shit. I didn't want none of that. That was it. No, for me, I was so into the boyish stuff, and so I climbed trees. My sister, being the youngest, she's 3 years behind me. Yeah, 3, I believe. She's 3 years behind me. And my sister wanted to get in a tree, and I really don't know how the hell my sister got up there, but I know I was up there. My sister came up there, got caught up in whatever the hell it was, and she's damn near about to kill herself, hang herself. So I run in the house, to go tell my mom and them that, hey, my sister, Chantel is in the tree. She's in the tree. My mom and them weren't trying to hear shit I was trying to say. And my smart ass mouth, okay, well, I guess she gonna hang herself. And I remember leaving, walking out the house. I remember a tinge of things. Walking out the house and leaving because they weren't listening to me. And they finally, came to her rescue and her aid. That is as far. Oh, and smothering my sister. My sister, I played with her. I just did crazy shit to my sister. And I don't know what the world. I was playing something, acting something on a show or something, and took a pillow and smothered my sister. I wasn't trying to kill her. That wasn't my intentions. I was playing. Scared poor baby's life. It scared her. It did. She says it to this day. It scared her life. I'm sorry, sissy. I don't know what the hell. I just was a kid, but I had a vivid imagination. I oftentimes went into my mind and thought about things, worlds and creating things. I was weird. I was a weird child. I know I was. Speed up, come into a place, play basketball. But if I wasn't playing basketball, I was in the house. And I was in the house watching TV. I was in the house. I love shows. I love movies. I love watching TV, and that's what I did. And in these shows, I see myself, I fantasize a lot. I put myself in these other worlds, it was my escape. It was my place, by myself, it was my place where I was protected. It was my place where, I was free. I was free to be myself. I was free to be me, At a very young age, I remember looking at girls, but I didn't really horn in on it. I just remember looking at girls and admiring girls and admiring women. My mom's hands, I loved her hands. I love how her hands were, older but wrinkly, but I love it at seeing how women were so strong and yet I wouldn't say weak, but had a sensitive, softer side. I remember looking at women and thinking that these women are so, wow. A woman is so powerful, is so strong, is so magnificent, and thinking these wonderful things about women and guys, my understanding of guys. My understanding of guys. Oh my God. So, I have to come back to that because that's a part of something else. But admiring women and being strange. My grandmother, I remember, had us in church at a very young age. Um, she was and I forgot what they called her, but she was the one who opened the doors of the church, closed the doors of the church, cooked for the church, cleaned the church. She was the first one there. She was the last one to leave, which closed the doors, opened the doors, same thing. She had us in drill team. She had us in Bible study. She had us in weekend church. She had us in BTU. Anybody remember that drill team? We said our Easter speeches, Christmas speeches. Granny had us in everything dealing with the church. It was our thing. All of us cousins, we always at grandma's house, at granny's house. And that was our thing. We were the face of the church, damn near, because we was always there. And and granny had like it was a lot of us, So we were always at church, and that was my introduction into, now that I know more of religion, it was bringing me into faith, into believing, into seeing God, but it was more, at that time, religion, because all we knew is to go to church, to go to church. But it was when I got older that I understood, this God, this Savior, we heard about it, but I didn't have a deeper understanding of this big God until I got later on in life. And so, that was my foundation. My grandmother and my mother laid a foundation in our lives to believe in something greater than ourselves. So when me being mixed with crazy, I say crazy because me and my mom had to talk about this. It wasn't the fact of crazy. I was funny, back then is what she called it. But for me, I felt strange. So for me being strange and then having this faith and then knowing that there's something greater, in the world and being introduced to this was just a lot, not a lot like overwhelming, but it was my life. Then coming into a place where, and I don't even remember where it started. So one of my older cousins, molest me at a young age. Now, in molesting, I think after a while, because it went for a long time, after a while, I don't think it was molestation because I looked for it, not look for it. I knew that it was coming. I knew every time this person was around what was going to go down. I knew, that he was going to get me by myself because I was a child that liked to, watch TV. So I was always in the house. I was always in the house watching TV. And this cousin always, every time this person came around, he didn't stay where we stayed. He stayed somewhere else. And we usually see him in the summer, but there were times where his family and them came down, and every time, here it is, this deal. And it got to a place where I was a little older in my teens, my young teens. And I remember being scared because I was like, I knew that this was wrong. I knew this. I already had this, every time it came around, I knew that this was wrong. I also knew that I was intrigued. This was something different. This was something else. I became accustomed to what was going on, and in the process of me being older, and this is something that I never talked about openly. I talked about it with myself. I don't have a problem talking to myself or talking. Sometimes I know I'm talking to myself, and then other times I know that I'm talking to God. But saying things in my hearing is basically what I'm doing. I haven't said this out to other people. So you're in for a ride. Well, I ain't gonna go into details. I don't think the details really matter because I'm growing from that. I'm learning to not point fingers. I'm learning to not hold grudges. I'm still working on that. God's still dealing with me on that, on holding grudges, because I hold a grudge. I'll hold a grudge for a long time. I'm telling you, bro, I'll hold it for a minute, but I'm learning to love me and be all right with me and accept me and understand that I don't come wrapped in this beautiful package. Again, perspective, looking back in my life and not putting my life down, but seeing that some things work together for good. All things work together for good. And I'm not saying that me being molested was, I'm just saying that in my life doesn't have to be in my future a negative thing, a thing where I have to dwell on. I have to stay on. I have to, I fucking hate, I think for a minute it did build a negative thought towards men. So speeding forward, looking at women and knowing that I have this here and these thoughts and feelings in my head and understanding that right now I don't see men rightly. And then some of the men I say a man in my life that I see on a regular basis, he wasn't giving me a good image of what a man was supposed to be. How he treats someone that I love. This wasn't right. This is not right. I can do better than that. I remember saying, I can do better than this man. I can be a better man than this man. This is what I said. And I'm being honest with myself and being honest with you. Again, perspective is a show where you talk about, sometimes you just need to let shit out. And then sometimes what you let out, you'll realize that you weren't by yourself. You weren't on your own, that there was other people that dealt with something like that, and they went crazy thinking that it's just them. It ain't just you, baby. But anyways, carrying on, I began to think that men were shit. They were not good men. Now, I'm not discriminating the men that were in my life, because there were men that were in my life that loved that woman, that worked hard, that provided, that they didn't want to see the downfall. Their whole motive wasn't about negative shit. Their motive was about life and providing for the family and being there, showing up, But I didn't see that. I just saw the bad. I just saw the negative. So I'm like, I can do better than this man. So when I went to college, and I finally was by myself and away from my family because it was a fear for me to come out to my family because we were raised in a church. My grandmother was a very God-fearing woman. And this is going to be hell if I come out with this situation. So no, hold this thing. Get out here, I was away from home and I'm going to do what I want to do. And I did. My first girlfriend in college, found out that motherfucker, she was fucking with some other girl and it wasn't what I thought it was. She wasn't really my girlfriend. She was just doing something and realizing that I've never done it. And she trying to turn me out, but yet she's in love with this other person, and I found out because towards the end of me, because I had to leave college because we couldn't pay for it anymore. She comes and tell me that her girlfriend would cheat on her. And she's crying about it. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I'm having to be this big person and be this counselor, not just counselor, but this shoulder to cry on, for somebody that I was like, I didn't love her, but I liked her because this is my first, But I got through that. Went with the second female, because I left college and I met this girl on this chat line. And back then, chat lines was big. I mean, especially for lesbians. It was big. But the crazy thing was, that's how I think everybody got to intertwine with everybody, because this person fucking that person, that fucking that, everybody fucking everybody. But on this chat line, I met this lady. This lady was older than me. At the time, I was just young, and I knew that I wanted to be the stud. Stud is just one who is more masculine. Back then I was masculine. I thought I was a nigga. I thought I can do better than a man. and came out. I was this personality, Taz. Taz was the first one, and then Corey, and I'm just speaking in. So the deal with this second girlfriend, me and her broke up. She was very controlling, is abusive as well. I knew as a stud back then that I didn't want to be, because this is what men did. I didn't want to be that one who hit women. So I wasn't going to be a stud that hit women, So she was abusive towards me, but I never with her. So we finally broke up and decided that it wasn't going to work. But I didn't want to go home because I was doing my life. I was living my life. So we had this deal because she was in a townhome, and I was going to stay with her. We were both free to do what we wanted to do. I had to pay half the rent. She paid half the rent. We just split everything. Now, the whole time I'm going to clubs. I was a clubber. I was out there. I was in the groove. And she was dating, this stud. And this stud came to the house. They slept together and everything. I just mind my own business. Go to work, go to club, come to the house, do my own business. Till one day, I went to the club and I met this number 3. I'm not saying anybody's names, y'all. I just, number 3. When I saw this woman, the whole club, and I'm not fantasizing about this. This is what I saw. Like I said, I have a vivid imagination, and I already knew that there was a God out there. I saw this woman. There was an angel behind it. The whole club went dark. I only saw this woman, and then when I seen this woman, there was an angel standing behind her. Wings, everything, praying behind her. It was kind of up, like behind her, but like tall. Mesmerized. I had to have this woman. Now, back then I wasn't a person that chased women. Women was chasing me. They was trying to get to me. So this was the first woman that I saw and I pursued. I got her, being my charming self, Corey, charming self. Charming was this image of man that I believed that I was. And got with her, and we were together for, I think, about 3-4 years. Strong. I think we never parted ways or anything. But the whole time, I was cheating. I was cheating my ass off. Now, before the cheating came, because I wasn't a cheater, I was faithful. I wanted to be better than a man was, the image of the man that I thought, men were. Before the cheating, me and number 3 were coming to number 2's house that I shared with number 2. And so number 2 didn't like this. Crazy bitch. She just, oh God. I remember one day me and number 3 were laying in the bed. Number 2 bust through my door, yelling about whatever the fuck she was yelling about. It pissed me off. It made me mad because, like I said, she's been having whomever she came, whomever been coming to the house, I ain't said shit. Been going to my room, doing my own business. She come bust through the door yelling about something. I stood up and I punched her. This is my first time retaliating back on her. Punched her, broke her jaw, the bottom jaw, dislocated. My first time. Y'all, in the midst of this happening, that was a surge of power that came through my life. It was this thing that happened. I don't know what the fuck happened. I started to smell myself. That's when Corey was ignited like a motherfucker. I started cheating. I started being abusive. I started hitting number 3. Number 3 was a sweetheart. Number 3 was the love. She was a good woman. She was strong. She was independent. She was everything that I knew women were or women are to me. Everything. And my black ass started cheating, hitting everything. So coming into this woman wasn't a type of woman that gave up. She was the type of woman that if she says she loves you, she loves you. She ain't never been with women before. I was her first woman. She's up with men up to this point. And she loved me. She loved me. I've never been loved like I was loved with this woman. She loved me. Everything about me. This woman knew where I was when I was cheating every time. Don't know how the fuck she knew. She knew. What she'll do when I stayed out too long, she'll call me. It's time for you to come home. She'll tell me whoever the fuck the person was, where they stayed at. She knew all this information. I'm like, dude, you got somebody following me, chasing me. What the fuck? She knew every time. And she still welcomed me home. She still wanted me home. This woman loved me. I've never been a love like this. This woman loved the hell out of me. Fast forward, coming to the end of me and her being together. And this whole time, God is basically like, there's certain things, like I wasn't reading the Bible. Certain songs I hear, they'll be what it is. But, and I forgot to say this here. Go back before I came out. So before I met number 2, I did come home for a little while. I was looking for, this is when I was on the chat lines and this and that. So one of my cousins saw me with the woman, number 1, in college. Told my grandmother. My grandmother first, I was at college, she called me and said, hey, blase, but then come in, right, go for it, because my grandmother's very blunt. She gonna tell you how she feel. Your cousin told me that he seen you with a kissing a woman. Are you up there? Are you gay? Scared as fuck. No, Granny. No. That was my first time she asked. No, Granny. She believed me, left it alone. Came home fucking with me because now my hair cut off. I'm dressing differently. My mannerisms are differently. It's something I can't hide. I went in and I think it came up again, but eventually I told my grandmother. My grandmother's the person I told first before I told anybody else. My mama, my sister, anybody else. My grandmother was the first one. Told my grandmother. She was not mad, disappointed, not mad. What she did, she opened up the Bible. She told me to read, oh God, I used to always know this, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the Acts, Romans chapter 1, I think it's verse 8. It's the one that says God will turn you over to a reprobated mind for you to do whatever you want to do. Had me read that, prayed for me or with me, and she said, have you told your mama? Do you want me to be with you to tell your mama? No, Granny, I can tell. That's it. So speed forward, got with number 2, got with number 3. So I'm doing all the worst this whole time, church is there, but it's not there. I'm not on this here. Right now, I'm on living my life. God will turn you over to a reprobated mind to do whatever it is that you want to do. And that's what I did. I had no conscience. I had no thoughts of anybody else. I had only self-gratification. I wanted to please me, my flesh, whatever it is that I wanted to get it. I went and got it. Cologne, starchy archy clothes, best shoes. My hair was cut all the time. I didn't get dreads until later on. I was fly. I was fly every time I stepped out. The nice vehicle, it was me. It was me. And that's what I loved. And going to the club, getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? Having fun. You know what I'm saying? Doing a little tricking, but not a lot of tricking. You know what I'm saying? That was me. I had no conscience. All the while, I whooped number 3's ass. I hit on her, cheat on her, still fucking her, still loving her, still there with her. And she's still loving me, still being there for me. what broke the straw, the camel back, however they say it, with number 3. So we went through some things. I met this girl. It was a white chick too, way back in the day, and I had lost a job or something. So I was staying with number 3, and I found a job. And the job I found, I was working with this white chick. And this white chick was fine as fuck to me. She was intriguing. She's never been with a female. I don't know, back then, that intrigued the fuck out of me. Ain't never been with a woman. Oh, really? You know, turn these hoes out. You know, I don't know, but did so. And finally get an apartment, get on my feet, get everything together. The first day I get my keys to this new apartment, I invite the white girl over. Well, number 3 wants to come over. She's been helping me. She's been there for me. You know, she believes that it's right for her, only right for her to be there. I didn't invite her to come over. She came over. She popped over. She knew what the fuck it was. She get there, and I'm shocked. But I'm like, I got time. Let her in, you know, walk around, see everything. She wanted to stay longer. Well, I knew the white girl was coming over. She didn't want to leave. She went, and it was a 1-bedroom apartment, so the front room to the bedroom is that little door that leads into it. She went right there, sat on the floor, wasn't going nowhere. I got real pissed off. Got so pissed off, I grabbed her by her hair and I pulled out. And this is a big woman. She's not fat, you know, but she's a big woman. She's big boned, very thick, beautiful, luscious woman. Dragging her out the house. Oh my God. So she gets out, she leaves, the white girl comes over. I don't even remember what happened after all that there. Eventually, the white girl leaves me, flats all 4 of my tires. Who do I call? The person I dragged out my house. She helps. She comes and helps. But after this, she's done. She told me that she had to pray that God bless her to stop loving me. And she eventually did. He eventually did. She stopped loving me. She stopped caring for me. She stopped being there for me. She stopped. In the course of while God is doing what he's doing with her, he's doing with me too. God began to show me him. The way he showed me him was, like I said, I'm a dreamer, vivid person. My dreams, God was coming into me in my dreams, and I had a vivid dream of me pulling this woman's hair. Although it wasn't her, it was me. I was in her shoes, and I felt what she felt. The anguish, the hurt, the pain, the drama of it all, and a heart being crushed. I felt it. God made sure I felt it. Wasn't just one time dream, it was several times dreams. Over and over and over and over and over. God began to cause me to feel the things that I were doing to other people. Another thing, my mom, she was in jail at this time. She was getting out. Some things happened in her life, and she went to prison for a minute. She was getting out, and she needed a place to stay, and she didn't want to stay where she was. She wanted to leave. And so come stay with me. Well, my selfish ass, she stayed with me for a little bit, and because I was still a big hoe, even though God was doing what he was doing, still a big hoe, because I couldn't stop the shit. I couldn't stop. I was in it. It was me. It was part of my life. I was in this life. I was in this thing. I couldn't stop being this thing. I was in this thing, and My mom was blocking me from causing women to come over. My mom was, and it wasn't like she was like, it was just the fact that she was there. Nobody want to come to your mama then. It's a 1-bedroom. Nobody, who the fuck? I went and talked to somebody who wasn't even a faith believer. This non-faith believing person convinced me to write a letter to my mom, to tell my mom that it's time. Then won't she go stay with my sister? And gave my mama this letter, and she said she understood, but I know that it broke her heart. So that's another thing that my father had me understand that wasn't right. I had no conscience. Me looking back in my life, understood that I had no conscience. I had no thought or resolution about what other people was feeling and how they felt, and to put them before me, that this was love. I had no understanding. Fast forward further into my life, because I went through a decade, more than a decade. It was more than that. I couldn't find nobody that was right. I was finding shitty people. I couldn't find a job. I had to go back home. I went through a series of events that was crazy. And it's because God was just showing me. I remember my apartment that I was in, and I lost my job. I lost everything. And I had to leave there, and I had to go back home. I remember sitting there wondering what the fuck I'm gonna do. And I sensed, it was the spirit. Like, I remember I was in this 1-bedroom apartment, and I was sitting at the edge of the bed, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? What is gonna happen? And I sensed this spirit coming from the front room to my room. And it was coming, and I understood that it was coming for me. It was telling me it was time. And I'm like, oh, I'm not ready. I still got other stuff. I'm not ready. And it wasn't that I was gonna die. God was telling me, and this is what I understood. It was time to change. He called me to do something. It was time for me to change. And I wasn't ready. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And the spirit left. So I went to stay with my mom and them, and things. Got into college again, trying to finish that, and my life was starting to change, and things started to change a little bit, but I was still this little shit. Dated this woman. I wasn't hitting on her, but I was abusive with my mouth. And she had 2 kids, and I remember again, at the end of our relationship, because I think we was together for a year or 2. And I remember I was doing something on a computer. No, my girlfriend was doing something on the computer, and I think I was listening to music. And so I had this playlist list where it was a gospel song, because then I started, after God started to, he revealed himself, and I'm starting to realize, open my eyes a little bit more. Well, he was opening my eyes a little bit more. Every now and then, I have some spiritual moments, and I had this song. It was Yolanda Adams that came on, and I remember it touched my spirit. It touched me so much, I thought I was going crazy. So I got up and I went in the kitchen by myself, because everybody was in the front room. My girlfriend and her 2 kids. And while I was in there, this spirit, something was happening. And it's like it came down to where I was. And it's like it took my heart. And it was like, it took an old heart and put in a new heart, and soaked it with love, with compassion, with understanding, with enlightenment, I was sensing things around me, and I could hear audibly this voice, and he said it was time. It was time. This is the 2nd time. And I said, this time, I understood, okay, guide me. This is something hard for me. Guide me. And I remember that night, I watched this movie. It was Denzel Washington when he was a dirty cop. I couldn't remember the name of it, but my eyes were so open that I saw good and evil in this. I saw the fight. I understood what was going on, crazy as shit. And I eventually told my girlfriend that I couldn't stay here no more. I had to leave. I had to leave. I couldn't stay here no more. And I was staying with her, like I said, for a year or two. I don't remember what I told this woman. I remember some years ago, we still friends on Facebook. And I asked, I said, what did I say to you? And she got mad and she don't want to talk about it. I'm like, what the fuck did I say? You know, I don't remember. I just remember God took care of it. And I remember I had to come back to the house. And this time, a change occurred. I started fasting. I started praying. I started to become this other person. I was wearing tight clothes. I'm not a makeup person, you know. Right now you see I have just eyeshadow on, and this is just chapstick, you know, and make lips a little juicy, you know. That's it. That's not me. I don't do everything else. I don't need to do everything else. The two fingers, and I got two girls with, you know, my wife now, so you know, so now I'm doing a little bit more of just feminine, you know, but not all the way, because that's not all all that I am. But back then I was this image of this woman that I thought that I needed to be. And in the course of everything, I couldn't get it all the way, but I was understanding, because I went into this place where I went all the way girly. Because I was this image, I was this girl, this woman that I thought that I was supposed to be. I thought I was supposed to be this type of woman. You know, tight clothes and heels, and it wasn't like heels, boot heels, you know, thick, you know. I couldn't do the little skinny, that ain't with me. You know, I thought this is what a woman was supposed to be. So that's all that I was. Then started dating guys and start fucking guys. And I'm like, how the fuck anybody do this stuff? I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how y'all women, But anyway, met one guy, and the guy, I really liked the guy. I really did. He stuttered, but that was all right with me. That was fine. He was handsome. He was a sweetheart. He was kind. He was patient. You know, he was the it for me, you know. But I couldn't leave women alone. I was still with women. I tell them, but I still was. So eventually me and him stopped, you know, being together. But before him, I became this image of this woman that I didn't like. Because I was like, it was no different. I told God, I was like, this is no different. I was a hoe with women. Now I'm a hoe with men. This ain't. And so I fell back into the place that I knew, you know. And so fast forward into this life and where I'm at now. I married a woman, and we were together for about 7 years, I want to say. She'll be mad at me for these years because I can't remember them. But I started growing into this person, you know. And I realized I left her, and I realized that I needed to find me. Like I said, I'm 43 now, and I needed to find me, and I'm starting to love me and be all right with me. Be all right with me. All that is, whatever that is, all right with me. And know that I'm not strange. I am strange. I am. But I'm a good strange. I'm whom God has created. Everything about me was created for him, you know. But it has a purpose. I have a purpose. No matter what nobody tell me, no matter what nobody says about me, I have purpose. There's a scripture that I love in the Bible, and not a scripture, it's a story. That's my dog. He's dreaming. It's this woman, her daughter was sick, and she came to Jesus, and she wanted Jesus to heal her daughter. Well, Jesus telling her to go away that what he has is for the children of Israel, that, the believers are God's promise. But this woman responded to Jesus. Even the dogs eat from the master's table. No matter what you're giving out to these people who seem to be this perfect, this image of what people in a society wants, or what God is looking, what says he is, even the dogs, even homosexuals, even prostitutes, even lying, cheating, even us eat from the master's table. We still receive that word that scraps to us, that scraps to y'all, but it's something to us. God is a good God, and he's worthy of the praise. He's worthy of love from us. We need his love, and his love is for us. There's so many people that speak against homosexuality, and I get it. I understand it. I read the scriptures, Genesis, 18 and 19. I get it. Even coming into the other, what is Old Testament, when it said man shouldn't wear, women clothing. Even coming into, I think it's, oh God, I used to know these off the back, but it's New Testament, where it says that no homosexuality will enter the kingdom of heaven. Even all of these, God still has something for us. There are in every sect of people that are believers. There's a sect of homosexuals, or a group of homosexuals who don't believe in Christ. Some of them don't believe in Christ because they don't. Some of them don't believe in Christ because you didn't push them out. You didn't say that they going to hell. Ain't even give them offer them Jesus. Just said they're going to hell. There is a group that would never ever believe Christ, and there's a group that will. Just like it's some that's sitting in the church right now. They sit in the church not because they believe in Christ, because they seeing everything else. They talking about everybody else. They planted there. They planted there by the enemy to deceive half of you in the church. In every group of people, there are some that will believe and there are some that ain't. Don't cast out homosexuals altogether. There are some that believe and there are some that will believe. And I don't think that we have to be this image that you want us to be in order for us to believe. That's for him to do. My God has been in my life throughout all of my life, when I had a conscience and when I didn't have a conscience. When I didn't have a conscience, he was just sitting back looking. He was good to remind me of everything I did too. But he was still there. There are times where I should have got something else, but I got this. But by the grace of God. I'm sharing my story because I know that there are other people like me out there. Don't let people cast you aside because of where you've been in your life. You keep on believing. You keep on trusting. One day you will see something, and it's not going to be one day. There are going to be times in your life. There are going to be times in your life where you get to see that God's been there the whole time. Tell your story. I am done with this. This has been a pleasure for me. If you would like to be on the show, you would like to tell your story, I would love to hear it. Hit me up in my email. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Brick of Faith. Wait a minute, hold on. Scratch that. B as in boy, F as in faith, Productions, spell the whole word out with the S, 2022 at gmail.com. BF Productions 2022 at gmail.com. Send me a short, brief paragraph of your testimony, of your story. I'll send you something back so that we can talk about it, and then we can set up a live for us or record it, but we'll talk about it. BF Productions 2022 at gmail.com. BF Productions with the S 2022 at gmail.com. Please submit a short paragraph and I hit you back. All right. Again, this is little T, big E, little T, big E, tEtE. That's me. Deuces.